So we all want to be known, and we want to be loved, and we want to know that we matter, that we're irreplaceable. And that's the deepest desire of our heart. That's the longing that we all want filled. But we take that longing to everything and everybody and everywhere else other than the one who created that longing in us and the one who can and wants to fill it, the only one who can. And so, when we think about it, like, why is it important to take our longing to God? Like, why does that matter? Well, it's because he created us with a God-sized hole in our heart that only he can fill. And the truth is that when we have an awakening in our heart, in our spirit, at a heart, mind, soul, spirit, body level, all of that, not just at an intellectual level, about who we really are, about who we were made to be, about who he is, about what power we have inside of us, about what resources we have access to, about who God is in us and what he wants to do and reflect about himself from us, then powerful transformation begins to happen inside of us. It happens within us and it happens around us like we've never experienced it before. And that is where transformation starts. And it's this supernatural awakening that, and this resulting shifting of our identity, that is the foundation of transformation. And so I want to guide you this year to have a powerful encounter, a powerful experience of God's love, of his heart, about himself, who he really is, and about who you are to him. And I want you to hear it from him, because I get tired of myself even, and seeing in other people, seeing the struggle of trying to change themselves, trying to change their life, but they haven't encountered the supernatural power of the Holy Spirit that is the transformation that we all want and that we all need. But we have to have that experience of him and be powered by his spirit in us at more than just an intellectual level. And so many of us settle for just having it at an intellectual level. And it's just not enough. And so we keep trying to change things behaviorally. We keep trying to make things happen with mindset shifts. We keep trying to will ourselves into these changes, and we just keep getting back in the same old stuck places. And so I want it this year. Let's do something different. Let's change it. And so I want to lead you into, and we're just going to start with the first step today. Just the very first step in beginning to experience this identity shift and this powerful transformation that I want you to experience when you encounter the true heart of God. So the first thing I want you to do, that I'm going to challenge you to do this week, is I want you to acknowledge the longing to really know him. Not know about him. Not who he is to somebody else. Not who church God is. Not who somebody else's version of God is. Not who you were taught he is. But I want you to acknowledge within you the longing to know who he really is. And secondly, I want you to acknowledge the longing to really know who you are in him. Not who you think you should be. Not who you have been. Not who you think you have to be. Not who others need you to be or expect you to be. But who you really are deep in your heart. Who you are in him. Start with the longing. We're afraid of that longing. And we try to fill it with everything else. and it's just not working. So I want you to connect with yourself this week. I want you to find a time. I want you to quiet the noise. I want you to still your body just for a few minutes. I want you to drop down out of your head and into your heart where that deepest longing resides, where the deepest longing is. It is not doing anybody any good for you to continue to try to avoid it, for you to distract yourself from it, for you to fill it up with things that are not of Him. Because He told me at the beginning of the year, He said, Connie, I'm not going to compete with what you're filling yourself up with. I'm not even going to try to pour me on top of what you've already filled yourself up with. And He just won't compete. And so we've got to stop trying to fill that longing. We've got to stop trying to distract ourselves from it. We've got to stop trying to push it down and avoid it. And we've got to stop trying to deny it because it's not going away. I want you to acknowledge it. This is the deepest desire of my heart. So finish the sentence in your prayer to God. Bring it to Him and say, Lord, I desperately want to know you. I desperately want to know who you are. I want to feel your love. I want to know your real character. And I want to know what it feels like to be connected to you. I want to know who I really am in you. Bring that to Him with full honesty, full vulnerability. And He promises us in Jeremiah 29, which I'm about to read to you. I'm reading from the Message version. He promises us that when we do that, this book, Jeremiah, this chapter even is it's a prayer. I mean, it's a letter to the exiles in when Jerusalem was exiled to Babylon and they were in captivity. And I like to think of it like we're in the same place. Our hearts are captive. Our hearts are in captivity. They are captive to whatever we're filling them with, or whatever lies we're believing about ourselves, or whatever we're trying to distract ourselves so that we don't have to feel the pain or the desire anymore. And so we're in the same place. And this is God's promise to His people, just like it's still His promise to us today. So I'm going to read this to you, and I want you to just take this in. Jeremiah 29, starting at verse 10. Ooh, I need my glasses. I'll show up and take care of you as I promised, and I'll bring you back home. I know what I'm doing. I have it all planned out. Plans to take care of you, not abandon you. Plans to give you the hope and the future that you hope for. When you call on me, when you come and you pray to me, I'll listen. When you come looking for me, you'll find me. Yes, when you get serious about finding me and you want it more than anything else, I'll make sure that you are not disappointed. God's decree. And so what I want you to hear in that is when you bring your longing to Him about really understanding who He is, experiencing who He is, experiencing who you are in Him, and experiencing that feeling of being known, the deepest desire of our heart, I want you to remember this promise and know that it may not happen overnight. There may be things in the way, and we're going to talk about that in future weeks, and I'm going to help you break through those and clear those out. But He is coming for you. He wants to speak to you. He wants to minister to your heart. He wants to connect with you. He wants to give you the desires of your heart. He wants to show you who He really is, that you've never known Him to be before because of the pain and the brokenness of the world. But our hearts are captive to things other than Him. And He's not punishing us in that. He's not holding that against us. He's trying to bring us back to His heart. But we have to be willing to come. And we have to at least, we may not want that more than anything, because we may be in captivity to our idols and want those more than we want Him. Or we may want the things of Him more than we want Him. But at least He wants us to be willing. And what that looks like is, Lord, I want to. I want to want you more than anything. And that's where you start if that's where you are. So even if it's, Lord, I want to know who you really are. Lord, I want to want you more than anything else. He honors that. We don't even have to do it perfectly. That's where his grace comes in. So, but I want you to bring your heart to him like never before. Sit with him for a few minutes. Share your heart openly and honestly and vulnerably, and let him pour back into it. Let him fill you up with himself and fill you up with his truth. Let him make himself known and let you know who you are and whose you are and how loved you really are. Because when you do, and when he shows up, and he will, your heart will never be the same, and nor will your life.